Brian Vertical, 30 Hayes Lane. First off, I want to say that I'm disappointed that Tony George wasn't named chairman. I think he was done the most for corruption, and I'm not shocked that he wasn't named, but, you know, as far...
Can I interrupt you? I didn't want it.
Okay. All right. If you give me an update on the Hayes Lane situation in my house with the one-way, that would be great. I know you told that gentleman in the back about the cops. Like, I honestly don't think nothing's going to change. I mean, look at the cops taking loaner cars for lags. I work with the mentally challenged, and if I took the luxury cars from parents of my clients, I can guarantee you right now that I would be written up and fired. I agree with Bob Kotlowski about a lot of stuff that he says, and he might yell, but it's the truth. If Tony George didn't bring up lag towing and all that stuff, I don't think anybody else would have. My question is about the city worker that allegedly stole from parking meters. Why was he suspended and not fired? A county worker got fined for making the paychecks 3 days late, but Wilkes Barre just suspends a man. And I think that we should put video cameras on people who deal with funds outright for the city. Contractors for the city. Why does the city of Wilkes Barre make contractors take a special test? And did anyone look into if the contractor the man complained about the previous 2 meetings is still a practicing contractor in the city? My other question is, how long has the Solomon Creek walls been a problem? Millions spent on Hawkeye and stuff around Public Square from the casino money in the past, and it's just a shame the way Wilkes Barre's turned out. It doesn't matter if you're 80 years old or a young man like me. I grew up in the city, and it's disgusting what it's turned into, and I hope it changes for the better. Thank you.
Ryan, I think on Hayes Lane, I think the traffic committee is still doing a study on that. I know that you and I as well approached them about that. I didn't realize Hayes Lane wasn't a one-way when we first brought it up, and as many times as I've been down. But I think that they are looking at that closely. I haven't heard back from them, but I will find out where it actually stands and what they're actually finding. The other questions that you have, and if anybody else has any input on those.
Well, the Solomon Creek wall has been, the funding's been there since 2007. Yes. And we just haven't made our share, which is 25% of is for the match. But a lot of that was made through the 3 bridges that they built already. And we owe about maybe about $5 to $6 million. And you're right. Over the past 8 years, we gave well over that to Kings and Wilkes and other agencies, which we should have been putting into the wall. And I've been saying this for 2 years now. Still haven't got anywhere with it.
Was it brought up like in the past, like in 2008, 2009, 2010? Like, was it applied for during that time or
no? And the Army Corps of Engineers was here last October, I believe it was, and I brought that up to them, and they were ready to pull the funding because we haven't done anything and we haven't responded to any of the requests. But again, that's with the Luzerne County flood protection, and I guess nobody's pushing them to do anything about it. Okay. It's not a priority. I guess the flooding in South Wilkes Barre and Hanover and Ashley.
Well, I'll make some clarification if you don't mind. The Solomon Creek issue has been issued for several years, more years than Tony and I have been on the council. But there was a study done, and recently we've geared some monies through grants to do some patchwork, if you want to call it. But that's not what we're after. Right? We're after a total free flood protection program for those people down there. I also met with the Army Corps of Engineers when they were at Wilkes University. It was a different time than Mr. George when he met with them. We've also had numerous meetings recently with representatives, and we're going to let Mr. Baruch, elaborate more. But we are going after funding. We're going after repairs there. This is something that's been ongoing, but the $500,000 here and $1 million there, it's not what we need. We need several $1 million to do the job right, to protect the people down there. And that there are meetings that we've been to. In that 2-week period, I've been at 2 meetings last month to try to address this issue. But there is a misconception out there that there's monies just sitting there for us to utilize. I've met with county officials to ask for their help with that. But it's not just a city, it's not just a county issue, it's a federal and state issue. And we're getting all those people involved. We've had meetings. recently with those people. So it's being worked on. It's something that it's not as easy as just saying, okay, there's $12 million that we had 10 years ago, or 6 years ago, or 7 years ago, and now give it to us. No, it was, that money was allocated during a total project, and that project was completed. Now we have to go back and try and revisit that and try and get those money.
I don't think the project's ever completed. We haven't completed it. It was a $112 million project, and our share was 25%, which comes about $30 million. But however, with the three bridges over Franklin region, they're included in our match, and they cover the majority of our match. And there's left about $6 million, and that was since 2007, and we still haven't done anything.
I don't agree with that perception of the situation.
Maybe we'll meet one day, and I'll show you where I get my information.
Yeah, and I've had several meetings, like I said, with federal and state representatives. So, Greg, why don't you elaborate a little bit more on what we're working on?
Yeah, working with our federal senator and congressman, the money was allocated. However, it could be allocated just like anything else. There just wasn't funding for it. They are asking for the match at that time from Luzerne County Flood Protection Authority, and they made that part of the overall raising of the dikes throughout the city. The match didn't exist then, so the money was never there. So what we're doing on the city's end, we're working with our state senator, our state representative, and our federal officials. As recent as 2 weeks ago, we were on the bridges with them looking at the area. We are doing everything we can to try and get some money in the city's hands to address the issues. We even have a conference call as early as Tuesday with Senator Casey as well.
Warmonger.
The match that Tony's talking about, I think the bridges, and I could be off on this number, probably cost around $5 or $6 million. If it was a $70 million or $110 million project, we're still short $20 million. It is not fair for the city residents to be covering that 25% match when it goes through 3 or 4 separate municipalities. So it's a larger issue than just Wilkes Barre. It's the water drainage that runs from Mountaintop all the way down through the city, or through Hanover, through Ashley, through Wilkes Barre, back into Hanover. And it has to be a group effort. And that's why we have our state senator and our state representative working with these other municipalities. And we're trying to give the county some pressure to try and spearhead this project again. It's a large issue.
Why did it take 8 years to start doing this?
We've been doing this for 8 years. Actually, we've been doing it for 10 years.
I understand, once you had our match, we get the money, but we won't get the money.
That's not accurate.
We did have a news release about 3 weeks ago, Ryan, that we did meet, and we did, like I said, I personally walked the bridges with the representatives down to the show. There's areas that are just literally falling apart, okay? So we did have a news release that came out to explain that to the public. But believe me, we are working hard to try and get this resolved. We even had to make one streets a one-way down there because we're concerned about the we're doing our best, but it is an issue. It's not something that's on the side burner. That's one of the #1 issues that we have that we're working on, is trying to get that area. It's 18.5 miles that creek runs. We got to take care of this for the residents down. I hope we answered your question. I mean, we don't know the answer, but at least you understand what we're working on.
What about like the city contractors? I was under the understanding that you, even if you're licensed by the state of Pennsylvania, you have to pass a test just for Wilkes Barre. Like, how long has this been going on? Why is that? And, you know, has anybody looked into that contractor if he's still practicing? Because I watched it on YouTube, the guy complaining about, you know, he complained about somebody ripping a woman off and that the police didn't get back to him for a year. I mean, I hope that guy isn't still practicing, you know, contractor.
My guy is. My guy's still pulling city permits.
Sir.
And it's been 1.5 years.
There he is. There's the answer to that.
I'm not familiar with the one they're speaking about, but there's, as far as contractors needing to be licensed by the city of Wilkes Barre,
It's been going on for as long as I know.
it is.
And we do have reciprocal agreements with other communities, like if you're licensed in Scranton, we'll accept your Scranton license, or other neighboring municipalities.
Oh, okay, I wasn't aware of that.
It's all about this. It's all about this.
And just one quick question: how houses does Wilkes-Barre knock down, like dilapidated houses, like a year? Do you have an estimate?
Yeah, we're gonna go, okay, we're gonna move it off, but we'll try to get you an answer for that
Is
one.
it a year?
Yeah, like an estimation of how many houses.
Probably around 10 a year, 10.
And how many dilapidated houses do you think are in the city? Like
There's quite a few more.
500?
I know they prioritize, we don't have the funding to knock down everyone, and it's just not as easy as going in and knocking a house down. We have to obtain ownership of that house to be able to do that.
I'll knock them down with dynamite and iron right here. All right, thanks, guys.